Everyone talks about how heavy the holidays can feel, but no one actually talks about what that weight is. It's not just the to-do list. It's the emotional labor, expectation, and pretending we're fine when we're not. If you've been feeling exhausted before the season even begins, this conversation is for you. And maybe this year, that weight feels even heavier. Whether you're looking at loss, conflict, uncertainty on a macro scale, global scale, or even personally, it can feel impossible to hold on to joy when everything around you feels so fragile. So today we're going to talk about what it means to make peace with the heaviness without letting it take you under. One of the first ways to get a better understanding of what is happening and what you're feeling is naming what this weight is that you feel like is holding you back or holding you down or making you feel that heaviness, like something is on your shoulders. And this can manifest in different layers. For instance, it can be emotional. This might look like masking pain, managing expectations, or just being the steady one. Another way this can show up is physical, and that can represent itself as chronic stress. It can be fatigue, or it can also be sensory overload. Then on top of the physical or emotional sides of this, there's also the layer of collective weight that we're all carrying. And this, you essentially just want to scale that up to not only the weight that you carry, but the weight that other people are carrying based off of what they may be experiencing. So some examples of this could be global grief, global unrest, wars, financial uncertainty, economic uncertainty, and also compassion fatigue when everything around you feels like it's just like crumbling down and you don't know which cause to devote your heartache to at any given moment in time. Part of why it all feels so heavy is that we're trying to hold it all alone. Oftentimes, particularly in our culture, it tells us that independence means strength. But there comes a point where that independence turns into isolation. And that's one of the things that I want you to consider today. What if your healing doesn't necessarily mean holding more, but allowing yourself to share some of the load? As we talk about and understand the different things that could be weighing us down, sometimes literally just talking about it or being in community and understanding other perspectives can help you to feel differently about it, knowing that it's not necessarily going away. So that constant quest to better understand everything all on your own, figure it out on your own, get the help all on your own, you can just throw that out. You don't have to have all the answers before you start to release something. Sometimes just noticing the weight is enough to start putting it down. Before we go further, I want to offer you a short visualization. This exercise draws on mindfulness-based grounding practices that draw from Buddhist and Somatic practices. Across cultures, these images of loosening our grip or setting down what's heavy have helped people process both spiritual and emotional weight. I share this because these practices didn't begin as trends. They come from long lineages of care. And remembering that helps us reconnect with our own cultures, communities, and histories of healing. All right, so if you're in a space where it is safe for you, you can close your eyes. If you can't close your eyes, you could also just lower your gaze. Take a slow breath in through your nose. Picture the weight that you're carrying resting somewhere in your body. On your shoulders, in your chest, or even in your hands. As you exhale, imagine gently setting one part of it down. Inhale again, noticing what it feels like to make even a little space. Exhale and set another piece down. Notice how you don't necessarily forget or erase the thing that was heavy. It might still be there. The intent of this exercise. So this isn't about erasing that heavy thing. It's still there. It's about remembering that your body knows how to loosen its grip when given permission. If you want to take one more deep breath in and let that out, and then slowly raise your gaze or open your eyes. With this last breath, notice even if you can't set everything down, you've created just a bit of room to rest. Now with your eyes open, as you set that weight down, you might start to notice what's still sitting underneath it. This part isn't necessarily about the things you have to do, your to-do list. It might be things like grief, or it could even be loneliness. It could even just be the expectation that you want to and think you should feel joy, but you don't. These are some of the things that we'll talk about next. One of the reminders I get from doing these types of practices is that calm isn't something that you find alone. It's something many communities have always done together or as part of communal healing practices, whether it's through shared breath, through song, or even through silence. So what does the body really need when it's overloaded? We've talked about how stress raises cortisol and keeps the body in alert mode. You already know that. But what we don't talk about enough is what that means in real life, especially for people whose bodies are already managing something else. When you live with chronic illness, it already means that your baseline load is heavier. At any given moment, your body can be managing inflammation, fatigue, pain, or recovery. Then the holidays layer on new variables, whether that's disrupted sleep, travel, stimulation, social pressure, or even irregular meals. So in talking about how our body processes stress, our goal here isn't to erase it. That's not real life. It's really to develop methods and strategies to prevent spikes that your body can't recover from as easily. Think of it this way. Think of your body as a battery that doesn't fully recharge overnight. Every social event, skipped meal, late night just drains that battery a bit more. You can still participate in all of the things, but your recovery has to be planned, not left to chance. If this is the case, let's talk about some practical strategies for you to have a sustainable holiday season. First up, environmental. So this is really looking at ways in which your environment can better support you being able to easily navigate these different moments, whether they're stressful or not. So one of the ways is in planning, and particularly if you have chronic illness, I feel like planning is one of the things that can give you the most support. So one example would be giving yourself recovery time before and after social events. So planning in some buffer time versus having things back to back to back to back, but when you can help it. Another way is to choose quieter and smaller gatherings if possible. This helps to reduce the likelihood of overstimulation in particular. And then another one, particularly when you're looking at your environment, is to identify and bring tools that are helpful to you. So you can think of grounding tools in different ways depending on what works for you. It can be tactile, it could be a calming scent, or just some headphones if you need breaks. I love the ones that are super discreet, so you can pull your hair down or something and people would never know. Pull your hat down, they'll never know. Outside of environmental, it's also helpful to consider physiological support, things that can help your body to better manage and navigate particularly stressful seasons. One way, and I know I'm beating a dead horse, but is to try to maintain as stable as possible blood sugar. One way in which you can do this is to just eat regular meals. Skipping meals actually intensifies your stress responses, which is the opposite of what you want. Otherwise, hydration. Hydrate more than you think you need. And dehydration worsens fatigue and mood swings. And then the last thing that helps both to relieve stress and tension, but also is in support of stable blood sugar, is to take short walks or stretches after your meals or even after long conversations. This helps to discharge tension and, like I said, stabilize blood sugar. In terms of emotional support, there are a couple of different ways you can approach this, and here are a few things that could potentially work in support of the season. First off, always remember that opting out is a valid form of self-care. You do not need to go to every single event or participate in every single thing, help with every single thing. Know yourself and your limitations and give yourself some space for recovery. Another one is to practice micro boundaries. So it may be that you're at an event or at a family gathering and a lot is going on, and you just step outside for a few minutes. Take a couple extra minutes in the bathroom, give yourself 5 minutes alone. Or you could just be a queen of an Irish exit and leave when you know your body has said enough or is about to say enough. And another one that I also find super helpful is to choose your support person for an event or a gathering or whatever the situation might be. And this is someone who knows your boundaries and can help you to exit gracefully if needed. And that could be leaving an event, it could be leaving a situation, it could be leaving a conversation, whatever it might be. Heck, you might even need a safe word or an unsafe word. These are a few things that you can do that can help you to better navigate this season while still feeling whole, or at least partially whole at the end of it. Managing stress doesn't necessarily mean staying calm while the world and everything around you is speeding up and going at this outrageous pace. It just means really focusing on building a world around you and for yourself that goes at a livable pace for you. The more you're able to protect your capacity, the more you'll be able to connect with others in a meaningful way. And that's really what this season is supposed to be about: connection, definitely not endurance. One of the things I'm definitely guilty of also is hyper individualism and independence, kind of just accepting a certain level of that, honestly, for my own safety. But it's also one of the things that I realized was a trauma response for myself. So it's something that I'm actively working to change, particularly because I've learned and appreciate and honor the importance of community. While I was going through this journey, I definitely felt that there was a certain freedom in my independence, knowing that whatever it was, I was the person who could make that happen and bring it to life. But as you may know, one of the things with chronic illness, though, is that sometimes it will humble you. I found myself, whether I wanted to or not, having to be dependent on other people. But I was fortunate in that I also discovered that there was healing in letting myself be known by others. What I also had to accept was that family isn't always defined by blood, but by the people who check in, the people who listen, and who see you even when you're not performing like you're well. Some of my favorite stories from this time of year come from people who built their own traditions, whether it's small dinners with neighbors, virtual check-ins, or even the story we see in the news every year of the guy who showed up to this woman's house and they're not related at all. I forgot the exact situation, but he's been going to their house for years now for Thanksgiving and they aren't related at all. It was just happenstance. And I think that's really the beauty in seeing that that's what community really looks like. That's what family looks like. It's just care. It's not perfect, but there's a certain like reciprocity and concern that's deep and loving and healing. Don't get me wrong, individualism definitely has its value, I guess. It gives us autonomy, it gives us our voice, it helps us to set boundaries. But when you take it to an extreme, it can also isolate us from the community that's meant to sustain us. And a simple example of this is always believing that you have to do everything yourself and getting to the point where you don't even know how to or when to ask for help. You were just never really meant to hold everything on your own, and that's okay. So, I know we've kind of dived into a lot about how you can navigate this holiday season. We're going to dive into our guided journaling session. During this time, I will offer you some prompts to reflect on what we've discussed and how it specifically applies to you. We'll give you 3 minutes to reflect. You can either reflect out loud or you can write the answers in your journal, whatever works for you. If you don't need the entire time, feel free to skip ahead. Otherwise, let's jump right in. Who helps you to feel lighter when you're with them? Where do you feel safe being your full self? How can you reach towards connection this season, even in small ways? What is one grounding practice that works for you? I hope that helped you begin thinking about some of the things that might work for you and aid in helping you navigate this season. What I'm really saying through this session is that knowing your capacity is powerful, but being in your community helps you to understand how you can expand it safely. As you move through this season, remember, peace doesn't come from doing or showing up less. It comes from knowing what's yours to carry and who can help you carry it. So I hope you'll realize you were never meant to do this alone, and you don't have to. There's a way to have a joyful season while respecting everything that is happening in your world and in the worlds of the people around you, and also reciprocating that support. Thank you for tuning in to the session today. I look forward to joining you guys next week for another grounding hour. If you're a Bloom Plus member, don't forget to visit our site where you can download the session worksheet and the next steps guide. Otherwise, until next time, thank you, be Gwell, and keep coming back.